Alrighty, this is the October 29th assignment. We have to create a song that uses two racks with either MIDI or audio effects or both. So my track utilizes a drum rack, bass instrument, this melodic sample, and then a vocal track or a vocal sample at the end. So to try to save on time, I'm not going to talk too much about the drums or the bass, but here are the parameters for the drums. And then here are the parameters for the bass. I did use an audio effects rack, but I only used one chain, so there's not much to talk about. It's just the parameters in these chain, or in this chain. So here this is. Now for the melodic sample, I use two chains. For the first chain, I use an EQ3 and a reverb. And for the second chain, I use an eighth note delay. But what I did specifically with this effects rack is I mapped the macros to certain parts of the chain. So for example, the third macro here is mapped to the rate of delay, and then I just automated the macros instead of going in and automating the actual devices. So it kind of does the same thing, but it's a little bit, because the macros are kind of front and center, it's a little more functional, especially if you're doing something on the fly, like a live performance. And so here's kind of the automation, one of the automation lines for the melodic sample. And then for the vocal sample, I use two chains again, reverb and delay, and channel EQ. And then in around the head pan, which I turned down a little bit because when you have two chains on top of each other, it kind of boosts the sample. The same goes for this one. It kind of boosts the sample up and it doesn't mix well with all the other instruments. So it just has to be reduced a little bit, at least in my opinion. But I didn't use any macros for this because I didn't do much automation with the vocal sample. But that's pretty much an overview of that. And then finally, just a little tidbit. On the master, I use multi-band dynamics. Tried to compress some of the highs from the hi-hats and the cymbals of the drums. So that's what this looks like. That's pretty much it. I didn't want to go too long, go over 2 minutes. But if you have any other questions, feel free to ask me in class. And I hope you guys enjoy it.